Hilton brings you new ways to stay, with experiences that let you capture the glory days. Introducing the Graduate Hotels. Each inspired by local college towns, these stays are always original and never boring. Get in touch with traditions all across the country and enjoy a stay that's a class above the rest. Book at Graduate Hotels with Hilton Honors Points at Hilton.com. It's a win-win. Hilton, for the stay.
Reality radio for a really great future. We're talking real money.
It's podcast time again. Hi, everybody. Don McDonald here with the Friday edition of the Talking Real Money, Real Important podcast, trying to make a difference in the way you live your life financially and share some just cool information with you. Today is our weekly Q&A show because we get your Qs sent in to us at talkingrealmoney.com, either typed in or spoken, which we prefer, or called in to 855-935-TALK, T-A-L-K, or, if you like numbers, 8255. And I'm trying to do this more slowly for a reason. You'll see why in a minute. Before, though, we get to the calls, this was something I've thought about, but I never really checked out. I have this really weird interest in the origins of things, and particularly language, the English language, which I speak for a living. And while I've always wondered about it, I never actually knew the answer until I found it reading a book about Daniel Boone. Daniel Boone, of all things. Do you ever wonder where the term buck came from in reference to the dollar? You know, I got a buck. I want $100. And then where did the word dollar come from? I mean, it's not like there's a lot of dollar currencies around the old world. Back in the old days, the British currency was the pound. It still is. And the Spanish, the other people who were here, the French were here too, the other Europeans who were here, who had currencies. Well, it turns out that the Spanish peso was often referred to by its German name. This is according to a book that Tom got me to read. That's quite good, by the way. It's called Blood and Treasure. It's a book about Daniel Boone. And in this book, they referenced the fact that a peso was referred to by its German name of Thaler, T-H-A-L-E-R, pronounced Thaler, which of course became Americanized into dollar. And coincidentally, the hide of a typical male white-tailed deer, which was heavily hunted back in the early days of the pre-Republic of the United States, was worth exactly 1 Spanish peso. Therefore, a hide was a buck, was worth the buck, worth $1. Aren't you glad I shared that with you? All right. Now we'll go to the questions. They'll be a lot more fun, I'm sure. By the way, call us at 855-935-8255 if you have any questions, or send them in at talkingrealmoney.com. And let us begin with our very, very first question. Let's see. This one was phoned in.
Hi, Don and Tom. Hey. I've been listening to your podcast for a while, and I really enjoy it. The question I have is, I have an advisor through Vanguard, and he's very low fee. It's not a lot of money, but I also have some money in the Target Retirement Fund, which, like 2040, 2030, 2025, and so on, that's doing not bad either. So my question to you is, can I save the little bit of money that it costs to have the investor help me with my portfolio and then just put it all in a target retirement fund? Or is there an advantage to having a real human that can make recommendations? So the background is I am retired. I'm 76 years old. I have a real tax problem, and so I'm hesitant to put money into a taxable account, but I'm not sure exactly how I can get around that. One other thing. When you say the phone number on your podcast, I've noticed that you say it so fast, it's hard for me and other people whose ears are 76, 77 years old to follow it. So you might want to just slow down just a little bit when you give the phone number so those of us that are a little slow of hearing can understand it. Hey, love your podcast. Thank you.
Thanks for the call. And you notice that I'm slowing down the phone number, trying to. 855-935-TALK, TALK, 8255. Trying. I'll try. Can't promise anything. Vanguard's personal advisor services. You're right. They're very inexpensive. They're limited in scope, but they're inexpensive at 30 basis points. It depends on what they do for you. If they do some things that are of great value to you, they help you rebalance and they encourage you to do so at the right times. And, they hold hands through bad markets, which I don't believe they do, but they might. I don't know. It depends on the people you're dealing with. It's probably worth it. It's not a lot of money. And we do believe that having personal advice, particularly with a more complex portfolio, is of value. So you may want to keep them if they're providing you things that you think are worthwhile. Otherwise, if you're just going to go with a target date mix of funds, well, those rebalance themselves automatically. So why pay the 30 basis points? If you don't need the services, don't pay for the services. That's the way it really needs to work. It's got to be a thing where do you feel like you're getting value from the advisor? If not, get rid of the advisor. And thanks so much for the call. We appreciate it. Let's go back to one that was sent in at talkingrealmoney.com and recorded right on the website there with your computer mic.
Hi, Tom and Don. When I look at my accounts, my investment accounts, the Roth IRA and my regular investment account, it shows me the amount I've invested and the amount it's worth. Which one do you use for rebalancing?
Well, the simple answer is you use the amount it's worth, because that's what you're rebalancing on, is the changes in the portfolio right now. So if, for example, you had a 60-40 mix, 60% in stocks, 40% in bonds, your bonds have gone down a little bit, your stocks have gone up a lot. Currently, they were at 60-40 when you started, but they're now at 70-30. Well, you want to sell some of the stocks, pay the taxes, unless you're in a Roth, so you won't do that. Sell the stocks and move that money over into bonds. I know, it seems counterintuitive, right? Bonds are going down, you say. Well, no, bonds have gone down some, and stocks have gone up some, but we don't know what they're going to do in the future, and that's why we rebalance based on the current value. Thanks so much for your question. And now another one from the phone, 855-935-8255. 8255. Talk.
Hey, guys. Bob from Ohio. Really love your show. Enjoy listening to every single one. And I have a question for you. I'd like you to talk a little bit about. I know you've talked about I-bonds before, but we recently invested in some I-bonds late October, last week, basically, before November 1st, to lock in what sounds to be a really good return for basically money sitting in the bank. And was wondering if you could talk a little bit about that, because it sounds like it's a very good inflationary control mechanism and something that we could invest again in late January to lock some good interest rates in as well. And it sounds like as long as we let her go until at least 11 months and a day, if I'm correct, we're in really good shape for a good return. But if you guys could talk a little bit about that, I would appreciate it greatly. Thanks.
Well, I've got my I bonds. I got them when the inflation rate was 3.56 annualized. Now they base that on a 6-month rate, and they adjust the rate based on that 6-month inflation rate annualized every 6 months for each individual bond. So you bought your bond last month. You will not get the new higher rate for another 5 months. And the thing about I bonds is you have to remember that rate seems really great today because we have inflation. But if inflation vanishes, well, your rate could go as low as 0. So you're not always going to get a high rate. And yeah, you do have to stay in longer than a year, but you really need to stay in longer than 5 years to avoid any deductions. Because if you redeem in the first 5 years, you'll lose 3 months of interest. You can't get out for the first 12 months. So it's pretty simple. So don't count on the return always being high. But yeah, is it a great inflation hedge? Yeah, absolutely. It's a wonderfully safe inflation hedge. And I don't have any problem having an inflation hedge in a portfolio. But remember, it can only be a small part. It's $10,000 per year per person, plus the possibility of another $5,000 if you have your tax return invested in them. So right now, though, the rate is like 7.12 for this current 6-month period. But it can go down. It can go up. But inflation has to go up for it to go up. Thanks for your cue. Oh, and by the way, if you think you've listened to every episode, you haven't. Because it turns out there's 179. There are 179 lost episodes that have been found again, hiding on the internet. And slowly, every weekend, I'm going to be, there's no we, it's all me. I'm going to be putting some of those up on the website. So we're trying to get, we'll be getting soon to 1,000 episodes. Our 1,000th episode will occur on December 4th, 2021. That is a lot of talking, and let's do some more as we go back to a question that was spoken into the mic on TalkingRealMoney.com.
Hey, Tom and Don, this is Brett in Seattle. I've been enjoying your show for several months, ever since my buddy Matt turned me on to you. I have a question. My wife has been offered an opportunity to participate in a 457 plan at her local municipality where she works. She's 45 and doesn't plan to retire for about 20 years. The plan is run by Mission Square, formerly ICMC, I think, and she's curious if this is a good organization that she should try to work with, or if she should go for something more like an IRA. Thanks for taking my call.
Mission Square is, or ICMA, as you mentioned, used to be that, isn't the least expensive vehicle around. Their funds are actively managed, or at least all the ones I could find are actively managed. They use funds from Invesco, Oppenheimer. They use funds from PIMCO. They use their own funds. And they all have higher expense ratios than comparable index funds. They just do. They're actively managed. I mean, some of the cheaper stuff is, 10, 15 basis points, but still that's 10 basis points more than most no-load index funds from Vanguard or Fidelity or Schwab or anybody, whomever. So here's the answer, and it's one of those it depends answers. If your wife, well, let me start again. Do they offer a match? My guess is they probably don't. If they offer a match, always contribute up to the match. It's free money. It's worth paying the extra fees to get the free money. If they don't, and she is not planning to contribute more than $6,000 a year to her retirement plan, then just go with an IRA, a regular IRA for current tax deductions, or if you don't need those, then go with a Roth IRA for long-term tax-free growth. But, I probably would start with the IRA or the Roth IRA if there is no match. And then if she has additional money she wants to put away in a tax-advantaged vehicle, then maybe go with the 457. But once again, I just don't think it's the best choice. It's an okay choice. They could have found a better choice, but generally speaking, those who create these plans are one of two things. Well, one of three things. Lazy, too busy, which can be lazy, or they have a friend with whom they're dealing. Somebody who convinced them that they were sold the product. And I don't think these are the best. They're not awful, but I don't think they're the best. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for your calls. Thank you for your nice words. Thank you, by the way, for your great reviews. We tend to get a lot of great reviews. We do get occasionally grumpy reviews, but that's to be expected because we do offend people on this show from time to time, particularly people in the financial services industry, but I'm okay with that because my loyalty is to you listening. And I think you probably have figured that out, those of you who've listened to us for a while. My loyalty is to you, not even to my own business. My loyalty is to you first. If my business can make money, too, great. If I can be honest and make money, that's a perfect world. But so many people aren't. They're not. They think they're honest, but they're not entirely honest. So, got any problems? Give us a call at 855-935-TALK or send your questions in at talkingrealmoney.com. I think I may have said that too fast. 855-935-8255. I'm going to be self-conscious about that. And if you need a little more involved help, and we occasionally get these really long missives, just go to vestory.com. That's our advisory firm, and just set up an appointment with one of our advisors. I promise you there will be no cost. There's no obligation, and you don't get hit with a high-pressure sales pitch like you do most places. So set up an appointment, meet with one of our advisors. They'll meet with you once for free. If you're really nice, they might meet with you for a few minutes a second time. But if you want us to help you all the time, you need to pay us for that. That's the way capitalism works. Thanks for being there. Take good care of yourselves. We'll be live on Como Radio on Saturday in Seattle, but you can listen anywhere in the country on, TuneIn Radio or whatever your radio service is. And you can call in live on Saturdays between 3 p.m. and 5 p.m. Eastern at the same number that I'm going to say very slowly, 855-935-TALK. 8255. Thanks for being there. I'm Don McDonald, and I'm going to spend a little more time hanging out here in my little studio talking real money.
Talking Real Money. We hope you realize that the information provided on Talking Real Money is for educational and hopefully enjoyable purposes only. Providing personalized financial planning or investing advice takes time, so please consult with a really good fee-only fiduciary investment, tax, or legal advisor. We know a good one. Investing must always involve risk. In other words, you can and probably will lose money at times. Also, as much as you want it, no one can accurately, consistently predict the future. So past performance doesn't tell you a darn thing about what the future will bring. Unlike many other programs that say something similar, Talking Real Money is not trying to get you to buy or sell any financial products or securities. Instead, the program is provided as a public service by Vestory, a fee-only registered investment advisor. Thanks for listening, and please visit talkingrealmoney.com for more information and disclosures. That should keep the lawyers happy.